name's Alexis Lombre. Oh gosh, I'm awkward. Anyways, yes, hello, my name is Alexis Lombre. I'm a student at the University of Michigan studying jazz piano. I've been playing piano since I was about 9 years old. I've been playing for like 12 years now. If you're interested, I have a copy of my CD, Southside Sounds for sale for $10. This is my debut album with my quartet from Chicago. And thank you guys so much for listening. We're at the Kresge event celebrating the wonderful, illustrious Wendell Harrison. Thank you for having me tonight.
Okay, hi, here we are today, and this is Carlota here, and she's going to give you a very brief but could be lengthy detailed description of why we're here today.
Good evening, and we'd like to thank the Kresge Foundation and also to congratulate their eminent artist, Mr. Wendell Harrison, and congratulate him on being the eminent artist for 2018. With me this evening are the Tuskegee Airmen, Mr. Keith Hines.
Yes, hello.
And Ms. Beverly Kendall Walker.
Good evening.
So it's with our heartfelt thanks to Kresge for supporting the arts, as well as sponsoring and inviting us to be here to extend our congratulations to a very worthy artist who brings us great culture and warm greetings, and we appreciate that so very much.
I'm really so glad to be here. This is a great event for Wendell Harrison. Of course, we have all our friends here from the Tuskegee Airmen, and there are actually more here, but right now, these are the ones that you're going to have on camera right now. But Matt, you know Matt, he's going to go around and make sure he gets all of us. Okay, once again, my name is Keith Hines. I'm going to pass the mic over to Ms. Beverly Kendall Walker.
Good evening. We thank you, UIN, for covering this event. So we thank Tim Moore for having the foresight to have this network so that you can get the word out about things, good things happening in this country as it relates to black people doing great and positive things. Wendell Harrison is an artist who we will hope to feature in October at one of our events out of Detroit City Airport. And so he's going to bring his ensemble to support our youth in aviation program. So we're looking forward to October the 13th at Detroit City Airport with Wendell Harrison Ensemble, supporting Detroit and the whole jazz experience. And just to note that he is a 2018 Kresge's Eminent Artist, which is a signature honor, and that we're just so glad to bring him into the neighborhood, the east side, to expose him to the young people and the people in that neighborhood around the Detroit City Airport, aka Coleman Alexander Young International Airport.
They're what together now?
Sure. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Wendell Harrison, Eminent Artist for 2018. You are most deserving and very well represent the city of Detroit. Thank you.
The tribe Genesis. This is one of the Kresge chord. We played here for started playing here 50 years ago. Yeah. And I met this young lady at Channel 56, and she did our videotape for the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Detroit Journal?
That was
Detroit Jazz,
Metro
91.
And it was shown in Japan, as far as Japan. That's when I knew I was in trouble. This is great. You know, so now we're dealing with playing the city airport, and we're honoring the Tuskegee Airmen on October 13th. You know,
October 13th at 6 p.m.
Tell them about it.
On Saturday, October 13th at 5 p.m. at Detroit City Airport, better known as the Coleman A. Young International Airport, we will be headlining Mr. Wendell Harrison, who will be there to celebrate the opening of the Youth Development Facility in Aviation.
Wow.
It's to support the kids, as always, either the arts, the kids, and the citizens of Detroit. It's to make Detroit the hub for education and development. And leadership is what comes out of all of this. And we're so proud and so happy and honored to have Wendell Harrison to be our headlining act. He's giving forward. He always has. We appreciate you, and we love you, Wendell.
We love you, all you guys. You know, we got the right person. Carlota, she's something else. Love her.
This is an audience participation thing, so we're going to use these kind of cues throughout. Welcome to the 10th annual Kresge Eminent Artist Monograph Event and Party. First off, I think you should give yourself a round of applause for being the kind of art supporters that you are to come out here on a Monday night when there's so much else going on in Detroit for an event like this. I'm W. Kim Herron from the Kresge Communications Department, and it's really a great honor to be here tonight. Now that we have kind of established our basic metabolism as an audience, let's try that again because that was kind of low. How about a real round of applause to prove that we're really an Detroit audience? And we are. Now we are cooking. You know, Wendell's frequent collaborator and compatriot, the late Harold McKinney, once said that the sun never sets on the Wendellian horizon. And it's really a testament to the way that sun is staying on this side of the horizon with Wendell, that so many people have been brought together by him, brought into his organizations, brought into his music, really brought into his life, and he has brought so much back to the culture of this city and this country. You know, it's a testament to his abilities as an artist, as an arts organizer, as an arts entrepreneur, and it's a testament to you that you've been hip enough to be part of it. You are now part of the Wendellians. It's a new term that you should take away that Harold invented, the Wendellians. And one Wendellian of note I'd like to call attention to is Alexis Lombre, who is a pianist that we got to hear, and she has been drawn. Alexis is from. Well, I had the pleasure of hearing her. Alexis is from Chicago, and she's going to the University of Michigan, but she is now part of the Wendellian scene and is now an adopted member of the Detroit jazz community. So, Alexis, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Another Wendellian of note is Rick Rogers from the College of Creative Studies. Rick has been part of this big organization, this kind of big band that's been going on for a decade that we call Kresge Arts in Detroit. And this project we call the Kresge Eminent Artists. And to talk a little bit about how that comes together with the work of the College of Creative Studies and what it means to Detroit and our culture. How about a warm round of applause again for Rick Rogers.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to add my welcome to Kim's to this great event. These monographs are really special. This is now the 10th monograph that we're celebrating, and together they really form a remarkable record of artistic achievement by 10 extraordinary individuals. But they also remind us about how vibrant the cultural milieu of Detroit is and how deep is its history. Artists are essential to Detroit's identity and have always invested the city with optimism and hope, even in its darkest times. And I think the Kresge Eminent Artist Awards speak eloquently to this point. They recognize people who are true inspirations. That's not just a cliche, it's really the case. They are dedicated, they are persevering, they are resilient, and of course they are enormously talented and creative. And in sharing their gifts with us, they make all of our lives richer. And Wendell Harrison is a case in point. Tonight we celebrate the publication of a monograph about him, but I think monograph is too small a word to capture Wendell, because it means the study of a single subject. And Wendell is many subjects all rolled into one. He's a performer, he's a composer, he's a writer, he's a publisher, he's a teacher, and on and on and on. That's an awful lot to try to contain into a single subject. I'm fond of a quote from Marcel Proust, and I have to admit I've used it at this event before, but I like it so much that I'm going to use it again. Proust said, this is the quote, "Thanks to art, instead of seeing a single world, our own, we see it multiply until we have before us many worlds as there are original artists." Wendell is a prolific and protean man, and he epitomizes Proust's point that artists help us to see many worlds. And in Wendell's case, as I think in the case of all of the eminent artists we've honored before, they don't just help us to see many worlds, but they help us to envision better worlds, and they lead us to understand that those better worlds are actually within our grasp. And that is why he, Wendell, and his fellow artists who've received this award are really sources of optimism and hope. So the College for Creative Studies is very, very proud to be part of this program and to administer it on behalf of the Kresge Foundation. I want to thank Christina DeRose, who could not be here tonight, but who is the director of the program, and her staff. They put in an enormous amount of work organizing all of the mechanisms that lead to the selection of the artists who received the Kresge Artist Fellowship Awards, which we bestowed just a few weeks ago, as well as the Kresge Eminent Artist Awards. They do a great job, and I want to thank them. And all of us in the arts community and everyone who loves the arts owe a special debt of gratitude to the Kresge Foundation and its president, Rip Rapson. I think you all know that Kresge Arts in Detroit is Rip's brainchild. And each time we gather for one of these events, it's clear how deeply devoted Rip is to the program, how highly he values the arts and sees them as vital to the health of the community, and how much pure joy he gets out of the program. And that, too, is a source of inspiration, optimism, and hope for all of us. Rip and his staff bring uncommon enthusiasm, compassion, grace, and vision to their work. They're partners and collaborators, not people who think they always know best. It's a pleasure and an honor to work with them. And everyone in the arts community is grateful to you, Rip, and the Kresge Foundation for your commitment to the Kresge Arts in Detroit program and your larger commitment to arts and culture and their potential to change people's lives. So I'm pleased and honored to introduce Rip Rapson.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you, Rick. Is that carrying? Good enough? Yes. Good enough? Okay, good. Some of you may know that Rick is going to retire after, oh gosh, what, 15 years, Rick, at College for Creative Studies? 20? 25. 25 years?
Yeah, I know, it's hard to wait.
Oh my gosh. And so this is going to be the last stage he and I share in celebrating an eminent artist. And all the nice things he said about Kresge, we deeply appreciate. But if I could be serious for just a moment, having a partner like Rick in this work has been just an enormous inspiration to us all. I mean, it's easy to imagine someone administering this program and kind of going through the motions and not sort of adding value to it, but Rick and his staff have done just the opposite. They've breathed new life into the program every year. They are deeply dedicated to the role of arts and creative culture in Detroit. And Rick himself has just been sort of a model of what you would want in the head of an institution charged with being a steward of the city's creativity in design and other forms of art. I only hope that when the trustees of the college choose, they will choose someone who carries on that tradition, because it has been a legacy that I think is enormously underappreciated in this community. Rick has just become, I think, a giant in this work, and we can only hope that his successor will bring that same level of commitment. So thank you very much, Rick. It's really been extraordinary. If I might just do a couple of quick acknowledgments. One is actually a deep pleasure, and that is having just spent time in the Kresge Court and standing in front of you as a representative of the Kresge Foundation. The people who really made this possible are the Kresge family, and they are joining us tonight, which is just spectacular. We have Peggy Kresge, who, the wife of Bruce, who is the grandson of the founder of the Kresge Foundation. Thank you, Peggy, for coming. We've always had at least one member of the Kresge family on our board of directors, and they have all been spectacular in their own way, but none has been more spectacular than Cynthia Kresge, who is here with her husband, Dennis. Thank you, Cynthia, for coming. And when I first arrived, the member of the Kresge family on our board was Debbie, and I thought we couldn't do any better than that, because she is full of spunk and energy, and we're delighted that Debbie and Paul have joined us as well. So thank you very much for coming. I also want to recognize our staff. I think we've got folks from our communications group, folks from our finance group, folks from our Detroit practice itself, and these are folks who work not just in the arts, but in every aspect of Detroit's renewal and reimagination, and it's a pleasure to work with them. And finally, I want to give a shout out to the team of Julie Pincus and Sue Levitsky, who were the creative team who led the content and design of our Eminent Artist monograph series. Wendell just nodded up and down. They are just extraordinary collaborators, and have done, as you'll see in a little while, just a remarkable job collecting this very complex life and set of accomplishments that is Wendell. So thank you both very much. And I think it's been our sort of deep pleasure to watch how they have sort of blended with our own communications team, led by Jennifer Kulzicki, who has sort of supervised every sort of step of the way, the work that we'll see tonight. So thanks, Jennifer, and your team. Thank you. But this is a community that has come together tonight to celebrate Wendell, but it's also a community in mourning after the recent passing of the Queen. And her loss is a bold reminder of the power of art to carry a message from Detroit all around the world. And it should heighten our appreciation of all of our artists, all of our cultural workers, all the stars in our constellation. And many of them are in the audience tonight, and I want to say thank you to you as well. I also want to thank our hosts here at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and because it's an institution that has played a special place at Kresge for many, many decades. Kresge was founded here in Detroit in 1924 by the retail pioneer Sebastian Kresge to promote human progress. So our support for the DIA goes way back to at least 1949 and continues today. Most recently, we were involved, as some of you may know, in the Grand Bargain that helped stabilize this institution, as well as the pensions of many city workers in this community. And I'd like to note that also 60 years ago, in 1958, Kresge made a major investment toward erecting the skylight over what was then called the Garden Court. That space is where we gathered you all tonight, and it was subsequently named the Kresge Court. And this museum, perhaps most importantly, also has special meaning for our eminent artist, Wendell, as well. Tribe, the musical collective that Wendell co-founded, had its first major performance here on this stage in 1971. And Wendell has performed here, yeah. Maybe he'll tell us about that a little bit later. Yeah. Those of you who know Wendell know he'll tell us about most anything. which is a good thing. A good thing. We all look forward to it. Thank you. And Wendell has performed here in other venues hundreds and hundreds of times since then. And so I know he's proud to be in this venue tonight. We're delighted it could all work out. Wendell is the 10th Kresge Eminent Artist, chosen like his predecessors for lifelong contributions to his art form and contributions to Metropolitan Detroit's cultural community. This is an honor he has accepted in the year that also marks the 10th cohort of the Kresge Arts Fellows and the naming of 4 new recipients of the Gilda Award for Emerging Artists. In over a decade, those combined awards have meant more than $5 million going into the pockets of almost 200 artists in the city of Detroit. And one of the pleasures I always have in the Eminent Artist event is joining with previous eminent artists, and we're just delighted tonight to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. We have Ruth Adler-Schnee, a wonderful artist of fabrics and tapestry who helped redefine the way 20th century modern design was done. Ruth, thank you for coming. Let's see, going up the, oh, there's Patricia. Going up the row, we have Patricia Terry Ross, whom many of you know as one of the most brilliant harpists of our time. She worked both in Motown and with the opera, has taught generations of young people into the genre of harp playing, and is just is a great treasure. Thank you, Patricia, for coming tonight. Naomi Magid-Long, one of the great figures on the national poetry scene for the better part of 50 years. Naomi just mentioned that she's just celebrated her 95th birthday and is every bit as spry and energetic and on top of the world as she was 25 years ago. So thank you for coming here. And one of the great playwrights of not just Detroit, of our country, Bill Harris, who was one of our very early awardees. I think Bill has attended every single Eminent Artist Award we have had, even before he got his own. So that shows you his dedication. I think that's right. You know, every year as we research and produce the monograph, we find the story of a young person who connects with the deep traditions of an art form. They become enthralled, obsessed. They discover their gift, and they learn from the best. They build on what they've learned, they overcome challenges, they break down barriers, and they share what they've learned with the world. It's the same story here, but it feels new with every artist. Here's some of Wendell's story. His mother sent him to music lessons at age 5 in hopes of channeling his noisy, nervous energy. I'm not sure she succeeded in that, but that was her noble intent. In high school, slightly older classmates recognized a jazz musician in the making and took him under their wings. Wendell eventually took lessons from Detroit's bard of bebop, the legendary teacher Barry Harris. That helped him get ready for New York, where as a young man of 19 in 1961, he found himself in one of the most dynamic scenes in the history of jazz. He was hired by, among others, the saxophonist Hank Crawford, a key voice in the Ray Charles Band, who helped invent the sound that we now call soul music. Other musicians were going in different directions in New York in those years. They were exploring new degrees of freedom. Wendell was part of that too, jamming with the likes of Sonny Rollins and Don Cherry. He even worked with the farthest out of the out there band leaders, the hard-to-describe Sun Ra, who told him to play like the ocean in a storm, like a hurricane. And those of you who have heard Wendell know he did exactly that. And after a decade, Wendell brought all of those lessons back to Detroit, where he has been ever since, growing as an artist and sharing them as a teacher and sharing with others his skills as a teacher and a mentor. He co-founded the collective of musicians called Tribe, which was dedicated to self-determination. Musicians promoted their own concerts, produced their own records, controlled their own publishing. It was really remarkable. And in an offshoot of the musical organization, Wendell teamed up with journalist Herb Boyd and others as the publisher of Tribe magazine. During the 1970s, the magazine unabashedly presented current events, politics, and culture from an African-American-centered perspective. In the wake of the Tribe collection, Wendell created his own record label and a nonprofit organization to produce, present, record, distribute, and teach young people in particular about this great musical tradition to which he belongs. Now, I could tell you more about Wendell's work with youth, about the dozens and dozens of musicians from around the world that he has brought to Detroit to perform and broadcast on WDET, about his innovative clarinet choir, and about his myriad other musical projects, about the musicians who inspire him and who he has inspired in turn. And I won't do that because, first, each of you who will go home tonight with your very own copy of the Wendell Harrison monograph, and second, we have Wendell himself right here to tell you some more about his journey and to illuminate it with some music along with his wife, music and business partner, Pamela Wise, on the piano. So please join me in welcoming our huge Detroit treasure, a national treasure, to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Wendell Harrison and Pamela Wise.
On and on and on. And then the content became, actually we had a program guide, that turned into a magazine under the direction of Herb Boyd. And Charles Warren, one of the friends of mine, he said, from the program book, he said, wow, you got so many ads and whatnot, this could be a magazine, support for a magazine. I said, really? Yeah, they're barely playing music. Got to be a publisher too? so anyway, Herb Boyd and people like Jeffrey Jocks, which is here tonight, was instrumental in putting the publication together. And we put it on the magazine. At that particular time, it was Cunningham's drugstore. You remember that? And you remember Farmer Jacks? They became the distributors of that particular magazine. And then from that point, we got Ludington News, which is a bigger distributor, covert distributors. And that was the story of the magazine. It was pretty popular. And then the records went national in terms of Poland and Germany and Paris, and we had a lot of distribution in Europe and Japan. And we started licensing those particular records in the early 80s and whatnot. But anyway, I've been talking a lot. We're going to play something. We're going to play a composition from one of the first albums. It was called, at that particular time, The Angry Young Man. And then it transferred to, it changed to the Jazz on the Run, which was recorded again on the Riding with Pluto was in 2008. 2002, I think. Anyway, we're gonna play some music.
Ain't misbehaving. Ain't misbehaving. Some of the guys would get drunk and start fights on the weekend and whatnot, and they would throw them in jail. And the girlfriends and the wife, they would say, "What are you up to, darling?" "I ain't misbehaving. I've been cool. I haven't been locked up." I'd like to bear witness to one of my late and great colleagues, Mr. Harrison-Kresge. We wrote in fact, I dedicated a whole album to his presence and artistry entitled Something for Pops, but really parallels Louis Armstrong and the New Orleans terrain as well. We did a lot of stuff, boogie-woogie style. Harold played the boogie-woogie on the piano, and a lot of reggae, whatnot. Gives you the lumbar effect from the Congo. Play a little bit of it, Pam. Boogie, 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 boogie. Somebody's phone. Too late. Too late. Always too late. We're going to do a tour, moving right along, entitled Rampart Street, which talks about the Ladonna restaurant we used to play when we went to New Orleans. And Rampart Street also has Armstrong Park, which includes a performing center, and a beautiful park with Louis' statue. You know, but Harold McKinney, of course, Louis was, we call him Pops, but Harold was the papa and the grandpapa for the Detroit community. He did a lot of, he influenced a lot of young people in our music world and whatnot. He was a great vocalist. He taught vocals. He had a lot of educational methodology in terms of how to teach kids about our music, the history of it, where it came from, you know, dealing with a lot of, anyway, we should play this. We're going to do a tune that was recorded and performed by, it came from a play, Annie. And it talks about tomorrow. You know, always have faith in tomorrow. You kind of know it's going to come. What's the words that I Pam?
The sun will come up. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Where's your mic?
I don't know. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
What did they say in the commercial? It's only just a day away, some medication or something.
That was the medication. That's what it was. She can't remember. No, but it was a commercial talking about
it's a heart medicine or something.
Some kind of heart medication. Or, you know, when you're a senior, you kind of vibe to these medications. That keeps us going. Anti-inflammatory drugs and stuff. Keeps us swelling up and blowing up. Wow, I never thought I would see these days. Well, I'm having a ball, though. I'm having a ball. It's a blessing. It's a great alternative, you know. So we're going to play that tomorrow.
Today. Kim said 5 minutes.
It's on me now.
It's on Kim now. How about Brother Bloss for Kim Herron? Communicator. Great communicator. I'd like to do a tune that Pam wrote. Or something. Because it's Fly By Night. live your tribute with the Harrison. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We have Phil Rowland on the phone now from California. Say hi. I'm doing the concert at the DIA. Did you hear him? Talk to me later. Talk to me now.
Say hi to everybody, Phil. Hi, Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey, is this going to be a long call?
No.
Okay. Right on Detroit.
I'll call you back. I'll call you back.
Oh my! I'm not sure. Is this working?
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. Anyway, anyone in this auditorium who wasn't a Wendellian before that is now. Yeah. We got a whole auditorium full of Wendellians. Look. In the early years of television, there was this show called This Is Your Life. Anyone remember that? Yeah, and so people would come on and tell vignettes about someone's childhood or their teenagehood or their adulthood. And we thought we would do that. We thought we would go out and find your first grade teacher. We thought we would find your 10th grade choir teacher. We couldn't find any of them. They were terrified of what they would find if they came here. So what we did instead was spend, Sue and Julie spent with our communications crew, I don't know how many months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year? At least 6. At least 6, seems like a year. Putting together Wendell's life as he tells it. And this is an extraordinary thing. We have done these monographs for every one of our eminent artists. Every one is an extraordinary story, but none is more extraordinary than Wendell's. And so we hope this Wendell begins to capture some of the memories that you shared with us, that other people have shared with us. It's got photographs. It's got letters of appreciation. It's got everything we could stick in here, and it'll be made available to anyone who wants one. But this is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Sue Levinsky and Julie Pincus, and of course Kim Herron. Thank you. It's been an honor.
That's good. You're probably wondering where you can get a copy of this. Dial 1-800-JAZZ-NOW. Operators are waiting to know it's even better than that. Wendell is here, and he's going to sign copies of the monograph out in the lobby just outside of Kresge Court, where we will continue this Wendellian party tonight. So have one more round of applause for Wendell Harrison and Pamela.
Well, thank you. Talk to me. Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. Oh, it's been we've been working on Wendell's project for almost a year now. So we've been through a series of interviews and a lot of historical documentation about his life and about my life too. So it's been a wonderful experience. I think the highlight of the book is when they talk about the Tribe magazine. Yes. Well, they featured some of the issues in the monograph. So, and it was one of the first Black awareness publications that we had here in Detroit. So that was very exciting. Just being here. And also I received a Kresge Award back in 2016. It was a fellowship award, so this is really a continuation. Well, Wendell's Award you have to be nominated for, and you got to at least be over 70, so. Pardon me? I know. What do I want at? Well, I see him every day, so I'm always asking him something. Where's the money? Right, exactly. Please continue to enjoy the party and be on the lookout for some of our young musicians that are coming up. And here's one of them right here, Mr. Trinino Lowe, who has played at our church a couple of times, and he's going to come back and do it again.
All right. I just want to say, I love you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You sounded amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All right. She was just saying you're up and coming. What does that mean?
What does up and coming mean?
He's arrived.
We next, I guess. Yeah. That's what it means. That's how I take. Yeah, I look at that term as if like up and coming is basically saying, yeah, it's basically about to be up to us to keep it alive in a minute. So like, yeah, it ain't dying no time soon. I wouldn't really say I have a strategy or a plan. I just say like, yeah, because Detroit is like kind of instilled in us, each one teach one. So that's just kind of how it is. Oh man, it was, yeah, the music sounded great. Y'all played my favorite song. I was happy about that.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's my, man, that was like one of the most fun songs I ever played in my life. Oh my God, I'm glad I got a church to that now. It's great. But yeah, it's just, everything was good. Gotta get to honor one of the mentors.
Father's Day, he came and played a song by Duke Ellington for our church. And he was also at the Cultural Center with his group a couple of years ago. So they'll be back.